Hey guys, I'm Mark,
I'm Alen.
and welcome to another episode of The Next Man Up. Hey listeners, welcome into the Next Man Up podcast. We are excited that you have chosen to share your time with us. This is Mark, and I'm introducing today's episode a little different than normal for two reasons. First of all, we had this episode queued and ready to go for mid-August. However, with 3 mass shootings in rapid succession, we felt it was important to make some space to talk about that. And so that's what we put out in lieu of this one. We pushed this one to early September. And so you'll hear some references to timing and upcoming episodes, which are actually now previous episodes. So our apologies for any confusion there. We just felt like it was important to take some time and address the shootings and our thoughts on that. So if you haven't heard that and you want to go back and listen, you can find that one in the August 16 release. And thank you for your patience and understanding here. That's one. The second thing is we wanted to let you know about an event that's coming up on Friday, September 27th. It'll be in the evening, probably around 6 o'clock or so. We're going to have a fun time of fathers and kids getting together to just enjoy some food from local food trucks, some activities that we're planning. We are expecting to give away some things and just have a lot of fun tonight connecting dads with their kids and dads and kids / families with other dads and kids / families. So we would love for you to join us. You can find all the details, all the information on our website, thenextmanup.com/events. This is the father-child fun event. Again, it'll be Friday evening, September 27th at a parking lot in Westerville, Ohio. Our sponsor that evening is going to be Leap of Faith Dance Company. We'll be at their facility using their parking lot, weather permitting. And if you're not familiar with Leap of Faith Dance Company, it's a Christian-based dance company for kids as little as 2 and 3 and all the way up to adults. And you can check them out at leapoffaithdancecompany.com and get all the information about them. We're excited to have them as a sponsor. We're excited to bring this event to you and your kids, and just want you to join us and have a lot of fun. So if you're interested, go to the website, check it out, let us know you're coming, and we'll look forward to seeing you there. Okay, those are the 2 announcements. Without any further ado, let's get into today's episode. Well, listeners, so good to have you back with us for another episode here. And, we say this just about at the beginning of every episode, but we appreciate you listening, and we appreciate your contribution to what's happening here. The discussion, the feedback, the engagement, and again, it's really not about us. It's about what we're able to do for our boys as we become stronger, better men, stronger, better, and more engaged fathers. And so that's our mission here. And we're happy to have you along with us. And I'm always happy to have my partner in crime here with me.
What's up?
Dude, good to see you again.
You too, man. You too.
This is a lot of episodes in a row where we've been eye to eye.
Yeah, man.
It's
this is
been
like
good.
this is different.
It's been good.
Oh, a lot better.
Yeah.
It's like it's so cool because you need body language as well, because that speaks, right? And so when you have someone in front of you and you're communicating, you're talking with your voice, but also your body is speaking as well. Like you're making funny movements and I'm laughing. You know what I mean? Or we're able to keep each other on track by looking each other in the eye, going, hey, we need to move on.
Right.
It helps, man. Like all those social cues can't happen over the phone. So I'm so glad these last few episodes, including this one, has been face to face.
Yeah.
So we can build. And plus, it's always good to hang with you, man.
Likewise.
Hey, listeners, thank you for being there, listening with us and joining us in this conversation. Like Mark, I am happy that you are here.
And if you want to move beyond just listening and really engage with us, You can email us suggestions, comments, feedback at the feedback. The email address is feedback@thenextmanup.com. And you can also engage with us on Facebook and our emerging Twitter account. We're there, and there's a little bit of activity, although I wouldn't say we're actively on Twitter, but we're there. So you are welcome to engage with us beyond just the podcast,
Sure,
and we would love to be able to connect with you in those ways. We were talking about being together for lots of different episodes. We've had a good summer here. I think I mentioned last time the podcast growth that we're experiencing, which is really cool. We've had an event, the Dad Meetup event last week. For those of you that couldn't make it, just pay attention. I imagine we're going to do this again.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Man.
Excited about that, and we recorded a couple conversations for the podcast that are going to air over the next couple months. And man, those were some really good ones, really good conversations.
Dude, one of them was with James Cutnow, the dean for Graham Elementary Middle School down in Columbus, Ohio. Man, it was so good.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, just hearing his story as a son, here's his story as a dad, getting his perspective on what he's seeing in middle school age. Yeah. For when it comes to our boys and on his journey of becoming a man. It was so good. Yeah. Such good perspective, man.
And it's coming up. The next 2 weeks after this episode will be our conversation with James Cutnow.
Yeah,
so
tune in.
Tune in. Looking forward to bringing that one to you. And then there are a few more stacked up behind that are coming too. So excited. It's been a good summer.
It's working. It's working.
Yes. So speaking of bringing things together and sort of organizing momentum and topics and whatnot, the last 2 episodes have really been about the theme that we're going to be talking about today, but just in more of specific context. So we were talking about boys getting jobs and what age should boys start working. And then last week we were talking about navigating through change, transitions, and what spurred that was a shift from one school to another for a friend that I was talking about. Today, I want to zoom out a little bit in our discussion and take it from the angle of all of these things that we were talking about the last couple of weeks, and what we're doing in parenting is a part of helping to build resiliency within our kids. Yeah. And I tell you, man, I think I kind of understood this as a young parent, but I understand it way better now as an older parent and as an is that the right way to say it? A parent with more experience.
More experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
More stories, more fits and starts. I understand it in a different way. In fact, I understand it in a different way such that if I were to go back and parent younger kids again, I would probably do it differently.
Yes, sir.
I think we have undervalued this concept of resiliency, probably with mostly good intentions, right? But I think we've undervalued this concept of resiliency as we're raising kids.
Amen, everything you just said. Amen. I agree. I raise my hand and my fist in the air and say, yep, I'm on that boat.
I'm not just a spokesperson. I'm also a card-carrying member, right?
I am a client.
Yes.
It's one of the hardest things, it's for me, I think about all the times that I either said it or in some way said it, or my body language communicated, just get over it. Or, you'll be all right. You can just deal with it. or I went the other route of like, how could you?
Mm-hmm.
How dare you drop the ball? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, if I can, having the experience I have of parenting for as long as I have now, if I can go back, Mark, I'm with you, man.
Yeah.
I'd do it so differently. So differently.
Do you know the book that I consult, just take a wild guess here, the book that I consult more than the Bible on a regular basis?
Parenting for Dummies.
No, the dictionary.
Is there a book called Parenting for Dummies?
Probably. Idiot's Guide, the Parenting for Dummies series.
Jeez.
I'm always going to the dictionary.
Sure, man. Me too.
And so I'm like, okay, what if we're going to talk about resiliency, we probably ought to be clear on what we mean.
Yes.
And I need to be clear on what does the word mean. Now, sometimes the dictionary definition and the practical application don't align, right?
Yeah.
But in this case, I think it's really good. So my Mac dictionary tells me that resiliency is the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties, semicolon, toughness. Mm-hmm. Now, I think for dads, we sort of rally around this idea of toughness, and we want to pass that toughness onto our kids, but sometimes that toughness just becomes like we talked about last time, right? Mm-hmm. Suppress your emotions, dust yourself off, spit on it, and get back out there.
Don't feel.
And there's a place for that. I don't mean to disparage that part of toughness, but toughness is more than just that physically. I'm going to do it, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to put my head down and just run through the wall. But I really like the first part of this definition, the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties. And here's why. We face difficulties.
Yes.
We just do. It's part of the human existence.
Yep.
And I think those of us that are Jesus followers are tempted to believe that because we're Jesus followers, we're going to face fewer or minimal difficulties.
Yeah.
So
that's not true.
It's not true, but we what I'm talking about, right? We
Yep.
develop this expectation that because of, then therefore, and yet to be able to experience those difficulties and recover quickly, what a skill to be able to master and then pass on to our own kids.
Yeah. And it's just not something you learn overnight.
It's not.
And so...
And you can't learn it just in your head either, right? From reading a book.
It has to be something that, like, practice over and over and over and over and over again. And guess what? You don't get it right 100% of the time, but it does get a little easier. Mm-hmm. And again, the recovery becomes a lot faster if you can learn to be resilient, and if we could teach our kids to be resilient.
So how do we do that, right? That's kind of the big question, and it requires us to be honest and open with ourselves. How resilient am I, right? How resilient are you? But even if we're figuring things out, we still have the opportunity to help our kids, right? So how do we do that as parents? That's kind of the big question, right? Or maybe I could take it a little differently. How do we get in the way of developing resiliency?
Oh, that's oof. I think you nailed the first one. Which is like we give them like fake humility, we give them fake resiliency, which is stamp it down, get up, brush yourself off, and just keep walking.
So don't feel it, don't grieve it. We're not even going to talk about it. Just the classic, well, man up, boy.
Yeah,
right.
Look, hey, if that's worked for you, great, but like, man, how is that healthy?
Yeah, there's a better way.
Is there a better way? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to, like you said, I don't want to diss on anyone's way of life. But here's what I found, like, for myself is that, tough it up, get up, keep walking doesn't work for me. Matter of fact, like I would say that stopped working for me, like in my 20s.
Yeah.
Like, all of a sudden, like, I'm getting a worldview and I'm realizing, wow, that's a horrible way to do this. This doesn't work. I have to have something better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I would say that you nailed that first one, man. You nailed that first one. That is true. We can't. One way that we get in the way is that we try to just tell our kids just to keep moving.
Yeah. I was thinking about like how do we get in the way, and I think what has been most prominent for me is, and I know it's not just me, but speaking from firsthand experience, I try to just like clear the way or take care of things or to just prevent them from having to fall or to stumble or to fail or to...
So this is the protective.
Yes. It's this overprotective.
Yeah.
And for me, it comes out of a place of, I want the best for my kids. I really do. Mm-hmm. And I don't want them to be unhappy, and I don't want them to feel pain, and I don't want them to suffer, right? But there have been a handful of occasions where I looked back and thought, maybe a little bit of pain in that situation would have been a better teacher than dad coming in and taking care of it. Yeah. And I'm not talking about big stuff like consequential stuff like bribing college officials to get my kids into school. There's an extreme example,
that's
right?
An extreme, yep.
And it's relevant. It's in the press. There are serious consequences. But it probably didn't start there.
No.
It probably started way back when kids were young. And like, I don't want anything bad to happen to them. I want everything good. I want rainbows and sunshine and butterflies for my kids. And it's raining outside right now as we record this. There's thunder.
If you hear it, it's
right?
okay.
It's not sunshine today.
No.
And welcome to life.
Yeah,
life is not always sunshine. No. There are difficulties. And so in my own experience, there have been times where I think I have intervened too quickly and not let my kids experience some of those difficulties and learn from the process. Now, again, it was out of good intent.
Sure.
But have I missed an opportunity for them to develop this ability to recover quickly from difficulties because they never experienced the difficulty in the first place? Yeah.
And there's C.S. Lewis wrote this book, The Problem with Pain.
Oh, yeah.
Great book, man. Oh, I changed my perspective on a lot of things. But one thing he brings up is like, this idea that God the Father, like, allowing pain because there's something that he could teach. There's something that he can give you, something that you can learn and embrace. And look, I don't want to get in a theological debate with anybody, but there's something about that makes my eyes go wide and go, yeah, oh my gosh, there's so many things that I've learned through the pains of my life. There's so many things that, because I walked through that pain, I am the man that I am today. And I'm not saying like, okay, what we should do is like, we should just throw a basketball in front of our kid when they're walking and let them trip so they can learn something.
Right.
Like that's stupid. That's just like, my gosh, you evil demonic person. That's not what I'm talking about. But this idea of like, look, if we understand that pain is part of life, then we must understand that we're going to have to go through several painful like moments.
Yeah.
And if we're going to go through painful moments, then we can't like shield our kids from it.
Yep.
It's going to happen.
Dude, it's hard.
It's very hard. I know.
Right.
I mean, I talked the last episode I talked about my daughter walking into school.
Right.
Yeah, you did not believe everything in me wanting to run into that school building and walk my kid through her first day of school. Everything in me. But what would she have learned from that? What would she have how would she have grown from that?
Yeah.
What would I would have done to her? Oh, and how embarrassing.
Right.
You know, and we want to be, I think you labeled it helicopter parent. We want to be the helicopter parent. And I know it's a feeling that rises, but whew,
it's a temptation.
Very tempting.
That is worthy of resisting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even I didn't even know this until not too long ago. There's another term for parenting that's called snowplow parenting. Have you heard that one?
No.
So the helicopter is you just kind of hover over them and follow them wherever they go. The snowplow is you put the big plow on the front and you just clear the way. You take any resistance out of the way so that they've got smooth sailing when they're coming behind you. And again, I can see as a parent how I can conclude that would be helpful for my kid. Wow, but how do they develop the resiliency? How do they develop the muscle? How do they develop character? Yeah. The decision-making skills, right?
Yeah.
There's so much that happens as we experience, let's just call it adversity.
Adversity.
When you go into a gym to work out, you don't just go to the heaviest weight from the couch, right? It's not from the couch to bench pressing 500 pounds. You have to start somewhere smaller and build and work up to it. We all get that. But I think that concept applies in our parenting as well.
Agreed.
If we let it.
Yeah.
If we let it.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. I'm thinking the question that pops in my head is okay, so what are some practical ways that we're talking about that we can be as parents, as and if we're talking to dads, if your dads are listening, how can we be fathers who are snowplow fathers? Not
snowplow fathers?
No, how could we be?
Oh, what does that look like when we do that for our kids? So just this past week, I'm standing over the kitchen sink, and I'm sure your kitchen sink is not like mine, but it's just full of dishes. And I know I didn't eat that much food and make that much of a mess. And in my mind, I'm thinking, my kids should probably have some part to play in cleaning up the sink. I'll just do it for them.
Yeah.
No, it's a small thing. And my kids did manage to get their dishes to the sink. And I don't mean to pick on them because they do contribute. But I'm cleaning up after them.
Yeah, yeah.
And so am I robbing them of the opportunity to learn to do this for themselves? Uh-huh. Now, I'm sure my middle son, he's my most sharp when it comes to retorts and negotiating and all that. I'm sure he would come back and say, well, Dad, look at it this way. We are just giving you an opportunity to serve your family in this way. I can totally see it. You know who I'm talking about. You could see Andrew
that is
saying
hilarious. I got one too.
But in that moment, I'm like, is this I'm just serving them, or is it I'm robbing them of an opportunity? And again, a small thing, right? I could share lots of other different examples.
Sure.
But that's just this week. This week.
You know what? As soon as you said that, you know what I do as a parent? I am constantly thinking, okay, do I really want to fight this battle?
Yes.
That's a thought that goes through my head. And honestly, sometimes I just go, you know what? It's just easier.
Yep.
Just to let this battle go.
Yep. And I think that's okay at times, right? Mm-hmm. We all have energy that gets sapped throughout the day. And it is important to choose battles that matter. But if that's the default mode, guess what? You get burned out as a person. Mm-hmm. You get frustrated as a parent. And meanwhile, your kid is just coming behind the snowplow. and it's got
and you're clearing the way for them.
Clearing the way.
And we end up we end up doing a disservice. It was, it's funny. I won't say who. One of my kids, we get a call. Like, it was real late at night. Like, I'm talking like 2:00 in the morning kind of deal. And it's one of our kids. They have a flat tire, and they're looking for assistance. And so I'm like, okay. So I go out there. It's raining. All right. I'm tired. I'm angry about this flat tire. So, but, it just happens.
Right,
it happens. But, I don't have to be happy about it. You know what I mean? So I get to the spot, and my kid's there. A friend is there with them. And I'm like, so you don't know how to change a tire? No, you never taught me.
Right.
Okay. Well, the easiest thing for me to do right now is to just change this tire really quick, because I know how to do it really fast.
Yep.
Get you driving again and just go home. Or
a teachable moment.
I can teach you. It was I take responsibility in my piece of it of I didn't teach you how to do this. Well, what better time like the now?
Right.
And so, I mean, in the rain, I am teaching my kid how to change a tire. And I'm like, okay, this is how you turn the lug nut. So I want you to do the next one. This is where you need to place the thing. So, okay, now stop pressing, get that car off the ground. This is how you store the old tire, and this is where the hole was. Know where the hole was. Is it a puncture, or is it like a gash? Is a puncture? Guess what? They can probably plug that tire at Walmart. So it was just a teaching moment. But I think I could have been a snowplow parent in that moment, but I chose to I chose to use it as a teaching moment.
Yeah.
And that's difficult. It's so hard to do that.
It is.
And whatnot. And so, some days I win, some days I don't.
I think that there's another aspect of when we go down the snowplow parenting path, or we try to just clear the way for them. I think it can discourage our kids from taking a risk. From taking a shot, from doing something different, right? If the snow isn't clear and the road isn't flat and straight and all dry, this may not go right. Yeah. So I'm gonna wait for somebody to clear the way. And every kid is different, personalities are different, right? Some kids are more adventurous and some kids are more fearful. But if we're always doing it for them, then where do they learn from taking a risk, taking a shot, experimenting, doing it themselves? Where does that happen?
It doesn't. And you know what? Trust in yourself, in your capabilities, to know your limitations. Yeah. To know that you can go this far, as well as you can only go this far. Yeah. You know what I mean? I think they don't learn. And we'll have we'll have that 20-year-old who, or 30-year-old or 40-year-old who just is afraid of their own shadow, so to speak, when it comes to risk. Yep. That's hard, man.
It is hard.
That's hard because life requires us to risk.
It does.
Life requires us to take leaps of faith, and to do things that are beyond ourselves. And if we are scared to risk, we won't move anywhere. We won't go anywhere in life.
So what better place to take a risk than in the safety of a family? Yeah. The support structure and I'm presuming a bunch of things here, but to be able to take a shot at something when the consequences are a bit smaller, and there is a safety net called dad or mom or whatever, the house, to be able to learn to take adventure, to take risk on a smaller scale, and what happens and how you feel and how you recover, and right? So that then as the stakes get bigger and you get out on your own and all of that, it's not the first time. You've experienced it before because you were given the gift of opportunity.
Yeah. I as I'm thinking about this, because you were talking about, okay, what are ways that we can get in the way? Mm-hmm. To swing the opposite way. In what ways can we get out of the way?
Yeah.
And let our kids run and build resiliency. I think if we can teach our kids to pause when things don't go right, to pause when a ball is dropped, to pause when something, doesn't go according to plan. I think that's the first thing to do. I think pausing allows you to see your surroundings, to see what's happening in you, what's happening in that situation, and to learn, let's go back just to see.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of information there.
Creating
right?
that awareness moment, right?
Yeah. Let's be aware of what's going on right now. Things didn't go according to plan. You had a plan to go to X friend's house and then ride bikes to B friend's house and then ride bikes to the movie theater and watch a movie. On that route, X friend had a flat tire. B friend, had, I don't know, couldn't go because they didn't do their homework, which made X friend, go, well, it's just the three of us and we were seeing this together, and they go back home, leaving you alone to watch a movie. Things didn't go according to plan, right? Okay, let's be aware of what's going on. And then, what opportunities are there? Here, there's an opportunity to be mad. I am upset right now that things didn't go according to plan. Okay, be aware of that. Let's deal with that. Let's give you space to let out that anger, And I know I'm using a very small example, but it's the small beginnings, man, that we get to, oh wow, you just got fired from your job.
Right.
Right. Or you know what? You didn't make the grade for college, or worst case scenarios, someone just died.
Right.
You know what I mean? How do you bounce back from that? You just got a divorce. How do you bounce back from that? You know what I'm saying? It starts with these little small things. And if we can get our kids to do one simple thing of just pausing, then becoming aware of what's going on and embracing those things, embracing those feelings to situations, and then seeing the opportunities, learning and seeing the opportunities. I think that's really huge.
Yeah.
To learn about yourself and what happened in this situation, with you, what tools didn't you have for this situation? How did you respond? Did you come and respond out of your character, or did you respond out of something else, to what happened? What opportunities are there? Is there an opportunity to make lemonade out of lemons?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What opportunities are there? I think if we can get our kids to leap from these paths, man, you can build a resilient kid.
Yeah. So the younger the kid is, the more they're going to need you as a parent to probably put words to it and really draw them out, right? And help them to experience it and learn from it, and not just blow it off.
No.
And then as they get older and you've equipped them along the way, then it's you shift to more of, okay, how can I partner with you, or how can I just be an ear, or how can I help you to come up with your next steps, right?
Yeah.
And ask you the questions okay, what did you learn from this?
Yeah.
And give them more of the responsibility for that awareness and that learning, and then choosing the next response, right? Because we always have a choice for how we're going to respond to the circumstances with which we're faced. So I see that as a parent, it shifts. Your role kind of shifts, and as the kids get older and older, they're able to then do this themselves, right? That's kind of, and it's kind of the goal.
And to be, and you know, like, and that's hard because that takes us containing, because we have disappointment.
Oh yeah.
When things don't go right with our kids.
Especially when we could see it coming, right? Like your actions are going to lead to these consequences.
Yep.
Like getting fired. You don't show up for your job on time, you're going to get fired.
You know what I'm saying? And then you get fired. I told you so. I mean, like, you know, and then like, it's,
right.
We want to go there, right?
Do.
And that's not healthy. It's not healthy for us to do that. It's not healthy for our kids, our boys, like to experience that, because it brings a divide. It brings a gap in our relationship, and then also it teaches them that they're just failures.
Right.
They're just gonna fail all of life, and there's a truth to that, right? Like, there's a truth to, like, we're gonna drop the ball. We're human, you know.
Yes.
But the idea of them picking up the label and wearing it as their identity, that's not cool.
No, it's not.
You know what I'm saying?
It's not.
And so I think we have to learn to contain as parents, and walk out containment. And what I mean by containment is helping our kids carry, like, their feelings, helping our kids carry their disappointment. Like, and that means you being okay with who you are, and you being okay with yours, so that you can do it for someone else. You know. And which leads to us being able to, like, let our kids know that you're going to get through this. I think that's, like, you know, I don't want to say it's going to be okay, because I don't know what okay means.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I think it's a lot better to say, look, you're going to make it through this. I know it sucks. You dropped the ball, like, or this didn't go according to plan, or someone just failed you. Mm-hmm. You know, like, oh man, I'm for you. We're here. We're gonna walk through this. Like, I can give you some guidance and whatever. But there's also a sense of, like, hey, just like the other thing, and the thing before that, and the thing before that, you're gonna go through this. You're gonna get through this. Yeah. You're going to be, I guess, okay. Yeah. But you know what I mean? That's the general sense. It's gonna be all right. Like, we could do this. You can do this. And if they can hear that from us on a regular, I think that helps build resiliency as well, because then they start understanding, I can get through this.
Yep.
I can deal with failure. I can deal with brokenness. I can deal with the plan falling apart. I'm going to be okay.
Yep. I think just one last thought there from the parent perspective. I'm going to be okay as a parent.
Yes.
Even though my kid dropped the ball.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's parent shaming, there's parent comparison, there's these expectations that
connected.
If we do everything right, then our kids are going to make all the right decisions, right? Like, and we could spend a whole episode probably just on that one. But we have to be okay in our identity.
Sure.
And I'm not saying shirking responsibility, but I am saying that the choices that our kids make are not the identity of us as parents, of us as men, of us as dads. Yeah. Now, we want the best for them, for sure. Mm-hmm. And we would sure like to help them avoid some serious consequences of stupid actions or behavior down the road. But man, it's their choice, right? It's their choice, and it doesn't mean that we suck or failed as parents. So if that's you out there as a parent, just be encouraged. You know, again, there's responsibility that we have, and we've done 70 episodes in one form or another on responsibility. But your kids are still making their own choices, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you suck as a parent. So anyway, maybe we'll come back to that one.
That's
I felt
it's
like
a good point to make.
Yeah, man. I felt like I just needed to tuck it in there, and you know, if we come back to it, we will. If not, just know that difficulties are a part of life, and parent-child difficulties are a part of parenting.
Sure.
It's not easy. It's hard. And we just want to encourage you along the way with some ideas, suggestions, and even just some encouragement that like we've been there. We know what you're going through. So join the club and let's do this better together.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Wow.
All right, man. Good discussion. I feel like we're going to come back to this topic again, right?
Sure, man.
Like it's important as part of raising. Well, we're gonna approach this topic here in a couple episodes. Just raising adults. Mm-hmm. We're not just raising kids. We're raising adults.
Yeah.
So we're going to revisit this again. But until then, looking forward to our conversation with James over the next 2 weeks.
That's going to be fun.
We wish you all the best, parents and dads, as you work through this, and help your kids to develop that resiliency that allows them to recover quickly from difficulties.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
All right. With that, let's bid farewell in Spanish.
All right. Adios.
Adios. Hey, listeners, thanks for journeying with us on this Next Man Up podcast. We would love to hear from you. Maybe you have a question or an idea, perhaps a topic for us to consider. If that's you and you want to reach out to us, you can get us at feedback@thenextmanup.com. That's feedback@thenextmanup.com. Again, we'd love to hear from you. Until next time, we'll see you later.